Hey everyone, welcome back. Today we're taking a very special trip down memory lane to the golden age of American television, the 1970s, Ken. You remember those evenings when the whole family would gather in the living room, the smell of popcorn or a freshly baked pie in the air, and everyone eagerly waiting for the next episode of their favorite show? Whether it was the laugh-out-loud sitcoms, the dramatic cliffhangers, or the variety shows full of music, dance, and comedy, television back then wasn't just a way to pass the time. It was a part of daily life, a ritual that brought families and friends together. Every channel had something special, and every show seemed to carry a little piece of our own stories and experiences. From the quirky neighbors in sitcoms, to the heroic characters in dramas, from the catchy theme songs that we could hum by, hard to the commercials that we secretly loved. It all painted a colorful picture of life in 1970s America. So grab your favorite drink, get comfortable in your chair, and join me as we step back into a world of bell-bottoms, shaggy haircuts, and the unmistakable glow of those classic television screens. Together, let's relive the laughter, the excitement, and the magic of shows that shaped a generation. And let's remember the moments that made our evenings unforgettable. Let's dive even deeper into the magical world of 1970s sitcoms, the shows that weren't just entertainment, but truly shaped our evenings, our conversations, and even the way we saw the world. Picture this: a cozy living room, the smell of freshly popped popcorn, or perhaps a batch of brownies cooling on the counter, and the entire family gathering around the television. The opening theme of All in the Family starts playing, and suddenly Archie, Bunker, Edith, and the rest of the family are not just characters on a screen. They feel like part of our own household. Archie's sarcastic, sometimes grumpy humor would spark laughter and even gentle debates around the dinner table, while Edith's warm, kind-hearted personality reminded us of the comforting side of family life. And then there was Happy Days, a show that captured the spirit of youth and fun in the 70s. Who didn't secretly wish to hang out at Arnold's Drive-In with Richie Cunningham and the gang, or slide into Fonzie's leather jacket with that famous thumbs up? Teens and adults alike found themselves mimicking Fonzie's mannerisms, singing along with the catchy theme song, and dreaming about living in that world full of jukeboxes, classic cars, and endless summer days. Meanwhile, the Mary Tyler Moore Show offered something different, but just as unforgettable. It was bold, funny, and inspiring. A portrayal of the modern working woman navigating friendships, office life, and the changing social landscape of America. It made audiences laugh, it made them think, and it made them reflect on their own lives in a way that few shows could. And the beauty of these sitcoms wasn't just in the laughter. They mirrored everyday life in a way that was relatable and heartwarming. We saw our struggles, our joys, and our quirks reflected back at us on the TV screen. Watching reruns today, it's astonishing how vividly every scene, every joke, and every heartfelt moment brings back the sights, sounds, and feelings of 1970s America. These shows weren't just programs. They were companions, conversation starters, and a shared experience for everyone who lived through that era. For those of us who were there, it's not just nostalgia. It's a time machine back to evenings filled with warmth, laughter, and unforgettable memories that stay with us forever. Now let's shift our focus from the laughter-filled sitcoms to the dramatic shows that captured hearts, inspired conversations, and sometimes even sparked debates around the dinner table. The 1970s were a remarkable time for American television drama. Series like MASH, The Waltons, and Starsky and Hutch weren't just shows. They were windows into the complexities, struggles, and triumphs of life in that era. MASH, with its unique blend of comedy and heartbreak set against the backdrop of the Korean War, reminded viewers of the human side of conflict. Hawkeye, Pierce's clever quips and the moments of genuine vulnerability resonated deeply, teaching us that even in the darkest times, humor and humanity could prevail. Meanwhile, the Waltons brought family life into focus, telling stories of love, loss, and resilience during the Great Depression. Watching John Boy write in his journal, listening to Grandpa's wisdom, or sharing in the struggles and joys of the Walton family made us reflect on our own families, our traditions, and the values we held dear. And then there was Starsky and Hutch, a show that combined suspense, action, and camaraderie in a way that felt fresh and thrilling. It gave audiences heroes to root for, mysteries to unravel, and a glimpse into the challenges of law enforcement in the 1970s. These drama series didn't just entertain, they connected us to the broader social and cultural currents of the time. Issues like war, family dynamics, morality, and friendship were explored on screen in ways that were relatable, thought-provoking, and sometimes even groundbreaking. For those who lived through the decade, these shows are more than just television. They're capsules of memories, reflections of society, and reminders of evenings spent deeply engaged with the stories and characters that shaped a generation, shifting from the heartfelt dramas of the 1970s. Let's dive into the dazzling and unforgettable world of variety shows and primetime entertainment programs, the sparkling gems of American television that brought music, comedy, and live performances right into our living rooms week after week. Shows like The Carol Burnett Show, The Sonny and Cher Comedy Hour, and The Flip Wilson Show weren't just fleeting entertainment. They were major cultural events, and families planned their evenings around them. Picture the scene: the lights dim, the familiar flicker of the TV screen, the smell of popcorn in the air, and for the next hour, your living room transforms into a theater. Carol Burnett's sketches were a masterclass in physical comedy, timing, and satire. From her iconic opening bow to her hilarious parodies of movies, celebrities, and everyday life, her sketches weren't just funny. They often reflected social norms, poked fun at authority, and gave audiences something to talk about for days. Meanwhile, the Sonny and Cher Comedy Hour brought music, charm, and style into homes across America. Sonny and Cher's witty banter, synchronized dance routines, and unforgettable duets made every episode a mini-event. Children and teens would hum the songs long after the show ended, and parents often found themselves tapping along, laughing at the jokes and sharing in the playful energy of the duo. Flip Wilson brought a unique voice to the variety show format. His sketches, from the sarcastic but lovable Geraldine to the thoughtful Reverend Leroy, were more than just funny. They were often clever commentaries on American society, race, and everyday life. Viewers of all ages found themselves quoting lines, imitating gestures, and even discussing the themes with friends and family. These variety shows weren't merely entertainment. They were snapshots of the culture, fashion, and music of the 1970s. They were reflections of society, a mirror of the times, and an opportunity for families to connect over shared laughter and enjoyment. People looked forward to these programs the way we now anticipate blockbuster movies or viral online content. They created excitement, anticipation, and a sense of togetherness. Watching these shows today, it's incredible how much they capture the essence of 1970s. America, the glamour, the humor, the creativity, and the sense of community. They weren't just shows. They were experiences that transported viewers to a world of live performances, clever comedy, and unforgettable music. For those of us who grew up with them, these shows are far more than nostalgia. They are cherished memories, a cultural touchstone, and a reminder of evenings spent laughing, clapping along, and feeling connected to the world outside our living rooms. Now let's step into the colorful and imaginative world of children's and youth programming in the 1970s, a world that shaped the mornings, afternoons, and weekends of countless American kids. Shows like Sesame Street, Schoolhouse Rock, The Electric Company, and Saturday morning cartoons weren't just entertainment. They were educational, inspirational, and endlessly engaging. Imagine the excitement of waking up early on a Saturday morning, rushing to the TV with cereal in hand, and settling in to watch your favorite characters come to life. Sesame Street introduced us to Big Bird, Oscar the Grouch, Bert and Ernie, and so many others, teaching us letters, numbers, empathy, and social skills, all while making us laugh and sing along. Schoolhouse Rock made grammar history and math fun through catchy songs that we couldn't get out of our heads, while The Electric Company used clever sketches and music to boost reading skills and imagination. Cartoons, of course, were a huge part of this world. From superheroes like Super Friends to zany adventures in Scooby-Doo, Where Are You? Or The Flintstones, these shows weren't just about fun. they inspired creativity, sparked friendships, and offered a shared language for kids to connect with one another. Comic books, toys, and schoolyard games often mirrored the characters and stories we loved on TV, creating a seamless bridge between imagination and reality. What made these programs so special was not just the entertainment value, but the sense of wonder, curiosity, and community they instilled. Children of that era grew up learning important lessons about kindness, teamwork, problem-solving, and cultural awareness. Even adults got swept up in the joy, whether helping their kids with sing-alongs or laughing at the clever humor sprinkled throughout these shows. Revisiting these programs today, it's remarkable how vividly they capture the essence of growing up in 1970s America. The music, the humor, the bright colors, the catchy phrases, and the unforgettable characters all transport us back to a time of innocence, creativity, and shared experiences, a generation shaped by the magic of children's television. Shifting our focus now to the electrifying world of music and dance on 1970s television, we enter a space that defines style, rhythm, and cultural trends for an entire generation. Programs like Soul Train, American Bandstand, and Don Kirshner's rock concert were more than shows. They were cultural phenomena, giving young Americans a place to see, hear, and feel the music that shaped their identities. Imagine the excitement of tuning in on a Friday or Saturday night, waiting for your favorite dancers to take the stage on Soul Train, with the latest soul, funk, and disco hits setting the rhythm for a generation. The iconic Soul Train line wasn't just a dance, it was a celebration of individuality, style, and talent. Young people across the country tried to imitate the moves in their living rooms, school halls, and neighborhood parties, sharing laughter and creativity with friends and family. American Bandstand brought the hottest pop hits directly into homes, creating a bridge between teenagers and the music industry. Dick Clark's friendly presence guided viewers through new songs, dancing trends, and interviews with the biggest stars of the day. It wasn't just entertainment, it was a way for young people to feel connected to the wider cultural pulse, to belong to something exciting and fresh. Don Kirshner's rock concert introduced audiences to live performances, band dynamics, and the energy of rock music like never before. Fans could watch their favorite bands perform, pick up on fashion trends, and get inspired to form their own garage bands or experiment with instruments. Music television in the 70s wasn't just passive, it was interactive, inspirational, and formative for a generation, discovering their identity through rhythm, style, and shared experiences. These programs left a lasting imprint on fashion, dance, and social interactions. Hairstyles, outfits, and dance moves weren't just trends, they were expressions of personality and belonging. Watching these shows today, it's amazing how vividly they capture the energy, creativity, and cultural dynamism of 1970s America. They weren't just television, they were experiences, shaping how a generation dressed, danced, and expressed themselves, creating memories that resonate even decades later. Now let's explore the world of 1970s fashion, lifestyle, and the cultural trends that defined a generation. The decade was a colorful, bold, and transformative era, where clothes, hairstyles, and attitudes were statements of individuality and social identity. From bell-bottoms and platform shoes to tie-dye shirts and flowing skirts, the 70s brought a unique sense of freedom and self-expression that resonated deeply with young Americans. Walking down the streets of any American city in the 1970s, you could see teenagers and young adults experimenting with their looks, mixing vibrant patterns, bold colors, and statement accessories. Hair was equally expressive. Afros, feathered styles, shag cuts, and long flowing locks were more than fashion choices. They were symbols of personality, rebellion, and cultural belonging. People weren't just dressing for appearances. They were communicating who they were, what they believed in, and how they wanted to be seen. Fashion magazines, television, and music videos reinforced these trends, turning everyday street style into a shared cultural language. Watching shows like Soul Train or flipping through 17 magazine, teens learned to emulate the latest trends, while also adding their own twists to reflect personal taste and creativity. Clothes weren't just fabric, they were statements of identity, mirrors of society, and tools of connection. The lifestyle of the 70s went hand in hand with fashion. Leisure activities, social gatherings, and popular hangouts became expressions of culture. Disco clubs, roller rinks, local diners, and park gatherings were not just places to spend time. They were stages to display style, dance and share experiences with friends. Music, television, and fashion merged to create a cultural rhythm that influenced behavior, social norms, and peer interactions. For those who lived through it, 1970s fashion and lifestyle weren't just trends. They were a lens into the spirit of the decade. They encapsulated freedom, experimentation, creativity, and the optimism of youth. Looking back, it's amazing how these visual cues, clothes, hairstyles, and accessories instantly transport us to a time of energy, self-expression, and unforgettable cultural moments. The 70s weren't just a decade of clothing and style. They were a lifestyle, a movement, and a shared experience that shaped an entire generation. Finally, let's immerse ourselves in the lasting cultural legacy of the 1970s, a decade that left indelible marks on American television, music, fashion, and social life. Beyond individual shows or trends, the 70s were defined by iconic moments, shared experiences, and the spirit of a generation discovering itself amidst rapid social change. Think about the excitement of watching live events on TV. The 1976 bicentennial celebrations, the Academy Awards, or unforgettable Saturday night specials that brought families together. These moments were not just entertainment. They were collective experiences that created shared memories across neighborhoods, schools, and families. Every laugh, every dance, every catchy song became a thread in the fabric of American cultural memory. The 1970s also gave rise to countless unforgettable personalities who shaped the public imagination. From television stars like Mary Tyler Moore and John Ritter to music legends such as David Bowie, Donna Summer, and the Jackson 5. These figures weren't just performers. They were cultural icons, role models, and trendsetters. Their style, humor, and charisma permeated everyday life, influencing the way people spoke, dressed, and thought about the world. Even small moments became iconic. Remember the excitement of trading baseball cards, waiting for the latest comic book, or lining up to catch the newest hit on American Bandstand. Each experience contributed to a sense of belonging, a feeling of being part of something bigger than oneself, a cultural heartbeat that pulsed through the decade. Fashion, music, television, and even leisure activities intertwined to create a cohesive, immersive cultural landscape. Disco lights, tie-dye patterns, roller rinks, board games, and movie nights weren't just hobbies. They were shared rituals that allowed people to connect, laugh, and express themselves. Every generation grows up with its own soundtrack, and the 1970s soundtrack was bold, vibrant, and unforgettable. Looking back now, it's astonishing how these cultural threads continue to resonate. The humor of variety shows, the dance moves from Soul Train, the youthful exuberance of Saturday morning cartoons, the distinctive styles and fashions. They all capture a time when creativity, expression, and community defined daily life. The 1970s were more than a decade. They were a cultural experiment in freedom, imagination, and connection. And for those who lived through it, each memory, each show, each song remains a cherished portal to a time when television, music, fashion, and friendship converged to create moments that were uniquely and unmistakably 70s. Let's dive even deeper into the playful and adventurous side of 1970s. American youth culture. Beyond organized sports, the streets, parks, and neighborhoods themselves were living arenas of creativity, competition, and social bonding. Children and teens spent endless hours inventing games, crafting makeshift equipment, and exploring their surroundings. Riding bikes for miles with friends wasn't just transportation. It was adventure, freedom, and a chance to claim a little independence. Afternoons were often spent at local swimming pools, lakes, or beaches. Sunscreen skin, laughter echoing across the water, and the friendly rivalry of diving. Contests or water races created unforgettable memories. Campsites, lake shores, and picnic spots became stages for storytelling, music, and bonding over shared experiences. Every splash, every game, every prank pulled friends closer together. strengthening bonds that would last decades. Neighborhood rituals also played a big role. Weekly corner store visits for penny candies, impromptu street tournaments, and the shared excitement of neighborhood events like block parties, parades, or fireworks on the 4th of July provided a sense of belonging and joy. Even the smallest moments, like waiting for a friend at a familiar street corner or swapping comic books and baseball cards, created a subtle but lasting rhythm to daily life. Technology was beginning to play a role too. Record players, cassette tapes, and portable radios allowed young people to carry music wherever they went. They'd gather around boomboxes, listening to the latest hits, singing along, or even learning new dance steps. Music and physical activity blended seamlessly, with songs inspiring impromptu dance-offs or friendly competitions that strengthened friendship and creativity. Sports heroes and cultural icons continued to inspire. Muhammad Ali's boxing matches, Billie Jean King's tennis victories, and emerging basketball stars provided role models and conversation topics for youth everywhere. Kids and teens would imitate moves, discuss games passionately, and dream about what they might achieve someday. Looking back, these moments weren't just pastimes, they were lessons in cooperation, strategy, resilience, and joy. They taught children to negotiate, compete fairly, celebrate victories, and cope with defeats. They were formative, educational, and endlessly entertaining. And they weren't solitary experiences. They were deeply social, creating a sense of community, shared history, and lifelong memories. By combining physical activity, friendship, neighborhood adventures, and cultural touchstones, the 1970s provided a uniquely immersive environment for youth. The balance between structured and spontaneous play, between personal creativity and group collaboration, created a vibrant, exciting, and formative decade. For those who lived it, these simple yet deeply meaningful experiences, biking until sunset, playing pickup games on the street, or gathering for a summer swim remain etched in memory as quintessential elements of a 1970s childhood. As we wrap up our journey through the unforgettable world of 1970s, American television, music, fashion, and culture, it's amazing to reflect on how deeply these moments shaped a generation. From the laughter of variety shows to the excitement of Saturday morning cartoons, from the grooves of Soul Train to the bold fashion statements on the streets, the 1970s offered a vibrant, creative, and unforgettable world that still resonates today. For those of us who lived through it or who feel the nostalgia from stories and memories shared, these moments aren't just entertainment. They are cherished memories, cultural touchstones, and reminders of a time when creativity, connection, and joy were woven into everyday life. If you've enjoyed traveling back to this iconic decade with us, don't forget to show your support. Hit the like button to let us know you enjoyed the trip down memory lane, and subscribe to the channel for more nostalgic journeys into the past. Don't forget to turn on notifications so you'll never miss a moment of retro memories, stories, and cultural highlights that bring the 70s alive right on your screen. Thank you for spending this time with us, reminiscing, laughing, and celebrating the magic of the 1970s. Here's to the memories, the music, the shows, and the culture that made an era truly unforgettable. And remember, every like, subscription, and notification click helps us keep the nostalgia alive and brings even more stories from the past directly to you.